Coming in at number 10 today, it's the Sentry. With the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, Robert Reynolds, the Sentry, is not just another Marvel version of Superman. In my opinion, he is even cooler than Superman. The Golden Sentry Serum gave Robert Reynolds more than just the highest level of strength in the universe, the ability to move and fly faster than the speed of light or just teleport, and near invulnerability. The Sentry also has molecular manipulation abilities that have allowed him to defeat the Molecule Man, photokinesis, which allows him to shine brighter than the sun itself, turn completely invisible, and produce blasts of light from his hands and eyes that could burn the Hulk's skin and level whole city blocks, psionic abilities that he uses to hold himself together, implant his memories in others, erase minds, and stop the hammer of Thor, biokinesis abilities that have let him heal others, resurrect himself, reconstitute his molecules, and as the Void, give others cancer. Speaking of the Void though, that is a whole other dark side to this hero that is intrinsically tied to his existence, which is not only incredibly powerful in its own right and makes the hero 10 times more interesting, but when Sentry combined with the Void, this godlike being somehow got a power boost, and he even became a Horseman of Apocalypse, which did the same thing. Number 9. Adam Warlock. First appearing in 1967 in Fantastic Four number 66, Adam Warlock was created by the Enclave, who were experimenting to create a perfect human specimen. This made him super strong, durable, fast, and able to store and use huge amounts of cosmic energy to make him fly, release blasts, and all kinds of things, including cocooning himself to help him heal and regenerate. As it turns out, that last one is kind of the thing that makes him unstoppable. Every time he cocoons and regenerates himself, he actually comes out more powerful than when he went in and evolves even new powers. With the name Warlock, you'd assume that he can also use magic, and you would be right. He is able to use, quote, quantum magic, which lets him teleport, make force fields, move at the speed of light, create wormholes, resurrect himself and others, have cosmic awareness, and frighteningly manipulate, remove, and judge the souls of others. He has altered the evolution of beings, he's manipulated matter, turning Thanos into stone, and then he wielded the Infinity Gauntlet, and is one of the main wielders of the Soul Stone specifically. This guy is basically Space Jesus, and one of his biggest feats is completely embarrassing the hell out of Mephisto, Marvel's most powerful demon in his own realm. At one point, he accidentally defeated the entire universe, including all cosmic entities except the one above all, who then just recreated reality with Adam Warlock as the new living tribunal. He's nuts. Number 8. Blue Marvel. A former Marine and scientist turned superhero, Adam Brashear is not only one of the strongest heavy hitters in Marvel Comics, but he is also one of the smartest characters and one of my absolute underutilized favorites. His origins take place in the 1960s during a project to use antimatter as an energy source. Adam and his best friend Connor were caught in an explosion that turned Adam into a living, stable antimatter reactor, which should, in theory, be pretty much impossible. This power is insane. To put it into perspective, 1 gram of antimatter contains the same energy as the device dropped that ended World War II. 1 droplet could power the entirety of New York City for a full day. Using this power, he was capable of effortlessly lifting the 1960 era's American warship Enterprise, which weighs over 93,000 tons, and then he just flew it all the way back to America. He effortlessly moved a meteor the size of Arkansas to save the world. The Watcher said that Adam is capable of splitting the moon in 2 with a blow, and he was able to directly engage Iron Man, Ares, Wonder Man, and Miss Marvel at the same time in combat, and just casually overpower them, and then he turned around and pushed the Sentry to the limits of his strength, and then knocked him into Earth's orbit with a single punch. His durability has allowed him to survive a hydrogen device going off literally in his hands, and just walking away unfazed. He may be seemingly relegated to the background of Marvel Comics, but Blue Marvel is practically unstoppable. Number 7. Thor. Thor. Thor, Odin's son, the Asgardian god of thunder, is one of the most powerful heroes that Marvel has. Whenever anyone talks about Avengers level threats, one of the key elements of that is whether Thor can just handle the situation on his own. In both the comics and the MCU, Thor and the Hulk are repeatedly given reasons to not be able to show up so that certain storylines can actually be compelling. Specifically, I'm talking about Civil War, where Thor had to deal with Ragnarok back home on Asgard, and that was all because if he was on Earth during Civil War, whoever had him on their side would just automatically win. Being the son of Odin, the Allfather, and Gaia, an elder god, Thor has all the incredible powers of the Asgardians, but boosted to a whole other level thanks to his mother. As the god of strength as well as thunder, he is one of the strongest Marvel characters, like I said, being able to either defeat or stalemate astronomically strong beings like the Midgard Serpent, the Hulk, the Silver Surfer, Gladiator, and Hercules. His stamina lets him basically fight forever, and he is next to completely invulnerable. Not to mention his weather and energy manipulation and the use of his hammer. Even when he isn't in possession of his hammer though, and is just Thor Odin's son, he is still a force to be reckoned with, and, especially recently, he keeps getting more and more boosts to his power, like when he was Rune King Thor, or now that he is Allfather Thor, which gives him the Thor Force, and he's gone beyond even that when he became the Herald of Galactus. There's more to Thor, but I think I've said enough. Number 6. Captain Marvel. Whether you love or hate Carol Danvers, there is no denying that this energy-wielding superhero is an absolute powerhouse. Carol was the head of security at NASA when she was accidentally subjected to the Psyche Magnetron machine, which imprinted her with energy from the superhero Marvel's Kree Negabands, which gave her superhuman strength that allowed her to support the weight of a dead Celestial, super stamina that lets her exert herself for over 24 hours without getting tired, superhuman durability to withstand planet-destroying explosions, superhuman agility and reflexes that are next to instant, and a regenerative healing factor that exceeds Wolverine's and can be extended to others. She has self-propelled flight at 3 times the speed of sound, even in the vacuum of space, and flash precognition that allows her to randomly subconsciously anticipate the moves of her opponents. But all of that is somewhat secondary to what is arguably her main power, the ability to control, absorb, and manipulate energy of a whole bunch of different kinds, which extends to let her project her spirit, manipulate molecules, transmute matter, create energy constructs, and even boost up her already OP abilities. There is literally no denying that Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, is straight up just broken.
Number 5. Apocalypse. When it comes to X-Men villains, Apocalypse is one of the best around. Definitely one of the most inevitable. Sure, right now he's more on the side of good because he's been unified by the cause that is known as Krakoa, the mutant nation, but I'm just waiting for the moment that he moves once more from an ally to an unbeatable villain. When it comes to Apocalypse, part of the reason why he is so hard to defeat comes from the fact that his mutant ability alone makes it nearly impossible to do so. Apocalypse basically has evolutionary sort of powers that allow him to adapt to almost any setting, bolster his strength and durability over time. His inherent ability allowed him to control his body at an atomic level when we're talking about his pure mutant ability, allowing him to adjust his body as needed depending on the circumstances of the fight that he's in. Add in the fact that his powers have been augmented by celestial technology over time, and the fact that he's also fully absorbed two different techno-organic viruses into himself, with his body overpowering and fully encompassing them into his own makeup. And yeah, you can see why he makes our cut. Oh, did I mention that Apocalypse also has a long history with magic, because that's also a thing now in the comics.
And for Carnage. When the Venom symbiote came to rescue its host Eddie Brock from jail, it left an asexually produced offspring behind. That spawn then bonded to Cletus Cassidy, who was a renowned serial killer in the Marvel Universe, through a wound in his hand, merging with his blood and becoming red and black in color. Now going by the name Carnage, Cletus returned to, being a serial killer, but this time with superpowers. Yeah, he's a recurring enemy, and quite the deadly one at that, okay? Eventually Carnage fought Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was defeated, realizing that Carnage was just another symbiote though. He called on Venom to help, and then they were able to defeat him. But still, okay? He had to get his enemies to help to defeat Carnage. That's weird. Spider-Man later also used loud noises to defeat both of them, but like that's just kind of a cheap shot in my opinion. But thanks to Cletus's psychopathic tendencies and the fact that he was created on Earth, he has more abilities than his father. A lot more. Like the ability to shoot projectiles out of his hands and then forming like razor sharp weapons on his hands to tear through innocents and enemies with chef-like precision, I might add. Yeah. Plus, Carnage can't be killed with fire, so that's definitely a vote in his favor. The dude's a serial killer who got superpowers. Yeah, that's pretty freaking unstoppable, and he's a fan favorite. Plot armor.
Number 3, Dark Phoenix. Probably the worst villain around and one of the most powerful ones out there has to be Dark Phoenix. The Phoenix Force is an interesting character entity because when it operates in a hero role, it's actually one of the most powerful forces of good in the cosmos. But with the ultimate power of the Phoenix also comes the temptation to lose control to it and turn dark. When this does happen, you are looking at a power that is epic enough to end all worlds and threatens to bring the very universe to its knees. Really, it all lies in the host that the Phoenix Force takes. The cosmic entity itself is really neither good nor bad on its own. But once someone becomes corrupted by its darker side, good luck trying to stop them or control them. In most cases, you have to hope that the Force either leaves the host of its own will and moves on to someone else, or that the person chooses to sacrifice themselves to protect others and regains enough control to even be able to do that.
But ultimately, in at number 2, Green Goblin. Speaking of how many times will they come back from the dead. After gaining heightened strength, intellect, and regenerative abilities thanks to the formula that he took to become a Goblin, Norman Osborn survived being impaled by his glider, but you know, no one knew. Escaping the morgue, he concealed his identity and evaded capture to flee to Europe. And then he comes back, because of course he does, he's freaking the Green Goblin, and then his secret gets exposed to the world. But despite this, he ends up getting captured and imprisoned, but then manages to escape again. And then during the last jailbreak, S.H.I.E.L.D. apprehended him near France and then returned him to his highly secured cell now, initially held in the raft. Norman continued to grapple with the Goblin in his brain, but he ends up escaping again. You know the drill by now. He was secretly moved to a special containment center where he encountered the father of Colmere, but like, come on, okay? He ends up escaping every single freaking time because he's the Green Goblin and he's Spider-Man's like most famous villain and he's like the most iconic one. So yeah, they're not gonna kill him off or they're not gonna permanently stop him because he's such a money maker. Are you kidding me? Half of the people who went to see No Way Home went to see No Way Home because of the Green Goblin. You know I'm right.
Number 1, Juggernaut. I mean, come on. It's in the name. I have to include Juggernaut on this list. While he might not have the ability to fully control and manipulate the atoms that make him up like Apocalypse, or to warp reality like the Phoenix Force, and he might not be quite as iconic as someone like the Green Goblin, I would still consider him to be the most unstoppable villain around, considering he is literally known as the unstoppable Juggernaut. That being said, lately in the comics, Kane Marco has actually been turning over a new leaf, but this also goes to show how unstoppable he is, not just in his body, but also in his mind, with him setting out to become more of a heroic figure and even rebelling against Cyttorak, who he was once the avatar of. Kane has become so unstoppable, not even Cyttorak can control him now, with Kane using materials that Cyttorak left on Earth to forge his new armor. As such, Juggernaut is no longer Cyttorak's agent tied to his will, but instead is actually free to choose his own path. As a villain though, Juggernaut also still happens to be one of the hardest villains to beat, whether he's linked to Cyttorak at the time or not. Number 10, Dazzler. Dazzler might not rank high on most people's unstoppable lists, but I know what Alison Blair can do, and honestly it's pretty impressive. Even though she constantly attempts to distance herself from the world of heroism, when called upon to protect the Earth, she happens to be one of the most capable and undefeatable heroes out there. She's gone up against Hulk, Enchantress, and even crossed paths with Galactus and lived to tell the tale, often defeating many of the opponents who are seemingly unstoppable themselves that she comes up against.
Number 9. Rogue. Marvel Comics' Rogue is an unstoppable force and one of the most formidable mutants, although you might not think so at first. With the ability to absorb the memories, powers, and abilities of anyone she touches, or after an enhancement, even those at range, Rogue has the potential to become a living powerhouse capable of mimicking the skills of her allies and enemies alike. This makes her an unpredictable and adaptive combatant, as she can utilize an ever-expanding arsenal of powers in battle. Some of these abilities have been momentary, and some, like the abilities of Miss Marvel, Sunfire, and most recently, Wonder Man, have stayed permanently for one reason or another. Also, thanks to an update in her powers, she can now fully control her power, meaning that she can totally take your power without taking your full life force, or if she did take your life force, it would be because she wants to make you suffer. So that's scary. Additionally though, Rogue's superhuman strength, speed, and durability grant her an advantage in physical confrontations. However, her powers come with a heavy burden, the risk of absorbing the life force of others, potentially leading to them becoming comatose, and sometimes, due to a power boost or because of a situation, their demise. This complex aspect of her abilities adds depth to the character, highlighting the emotional struggles she faces in trying to control her gift, and it makes relationships particularly difficult. Whether fighting alongside the X-Men or as a solo hero, Rogue's resilience and adaptability and the sheer potential of her power has made her someone that you just can't overlook.
Number 8. Hope Summers. What if you could be like Rogue, but instead of initially having to touch people or later on get them within a close range, you just had to be somewhere nearby them. And instead of having to train with said powers to figure them out, you were just straight up a master. And instead of having to be able to overcome your own fears to gain more control over your abilities, so you didn't accidentally, drain someone of their life energy or their memories, you just never really had to worry about any of that. Well then, you'd be Hope Summers. While definitely a less complex character in terms of her powers adding an inherent depth through being limited or flawed in some way, Hope is still definitely a powerhouse. And what she lacks in power set depth, she makes up for in weird time travel story depth. Being the adopted daughter of Cable and the original mutant Messiah, one of the first mutants to be born after Scarlet Witch wiped out most of the mutants with her powers by speaking the words "no more mutants." Hope Summers is a member of Krakoa's 5 and is probably the most valuable member on that team, considering how versatile she is.
Number 7. Doctor Strange. Sorcerer Supreme Dr. Stephen Strange's magical feats are almost unmatched by any other. He is among the most adept magic user in the multiverse and has shown it many times. In fact, when he first came on the scene, and for a long while, he was capable of doing pretty much anything he wanted to with any spell. It got to the point that Marvel even decided to depower him so that he could have more compelling stories. As for some of his feats, even after being depowered, he has passed a test in which he accepted death, which meant he now no longer ages and is kind of immortal. His energy blasts are capable of destroying moons and planets. He has mastered the words of the Black Priests, allowing him to distort reality at one point. He frequently calls on the divine empowerment and extra-dimensional energy of mystical and non-mystical beings across multiple dimensions in order to power his spells, which most magic users do, but he just does it better. He is the defender of reality, and that is a title that does not come lightly. I feel like the camera's like a tiny bit higher in here, so I'm like, oh shit, it's up there.
Gotta look up.
Look up.
How do you think I feel? Number 6. Spider-Man. Spider-Man has to be one of the most unstoppable heroes around when it comes to Marvel Comics. Sure, he might not be as powerful as some of the heroes on this list when it comes to their comparative power sets, but in his own lane, Peter is pretty much just a straight up unstoppable. And he has one of the strongest willpowers of all of the heroes in the Marvel universe that I know of. Even when it seems like he cannot win the day, he often manages to find a way to save the people he's sworn to protect, and often that he also knows and loves. He's pulled off feats of strength that seemed impossible, even for him with his extremely enhanced physiology. And in the MCU, he even managed to stand up to Doctor Strange in No Way Home, which, considering how powerful Doctor Strange is, I think is pretty impressive. Number 5. Cassandra Nova. I mean, Cassandra Nova is seriously just crazy. I love her, and I also kind of love to hate her. I mean, that's the beauty of Cassandra Nova. Technically, she is not quite a mutant. Instead, she is a Mummidry, which is basically like an evil twin that you have to defeat to be born, at least according to the Shi'ar. In Cassandra's case, she is the evil twin of Charles Xavier, whose powers first manifested in the womb before he was born, so that he might stop Cassandra, who attacked him at that time. As a result, Cassandra was defeated, and Charles lived on, being born into the world. However, even then, this wouldn't be the end for Cassandra. She actually survived as basically a collection of cells that look like goo, and she managed to once again manifest, returning even stronger than she was before. And yeah, like I said, she's a Mummidry, but she's also like a Mummidry of Charles, so that kind of makes her a mutant, and right now, or at least recently, last time I was reading Marauders, she was fighting for the mutants because she kind of allied herself. She kind of saw herself as one. So I mean, yeah, it kind of depends on the story, but I think we can consider her a mutant. Number 4. Jean Grey. Jean Grey was once the Phoenix Force, but even without the Phoenix Force, she is a powerhouse. In fact, at one point Jean even stated the Phoenix Force was, get this, actually holding her back. What? Even without her connection to the Phoenix, even when she is not a host, Jean has proven herself as one of the most unstoppable mutants out there. She has gone toe to toe with gods and not only survived, but also won. Jean Grey is also one of the most unstoppable in the sense that she doesn't even really need to mess you up to win a fight with you. And I think that is a really impressive strength. Or rather, I guess I should say, she really only needs to mess you up mentally maybe, but then, even then, not in a way that leaves you like catatonic or anything like that. She isn't Xavier. She won't necessarily just like wipe your mind or anything like that. She doesn't need to. Instead, she'll give you an entirely new perspective that will make you change your own mind. Number 3. Magneto. While Magneto was stopped a while ago with him seemingly being killed during the long and epic fight that he had against Uranos, Magneto still wasn't even really stopped there. Now, allow me to explain. I know that's a contradiction. Minus everything that may or may not be going with him potentially returning from the dead in Scarlet Witch's comic, unless that's Joseph, his younger clone, and it could be. I'm not up to date on Scarlet Witch, so if there's some things that have come up in the last couple issues, don't spoil it for me in the comments. Magneto actually never died in his first battle with Uranos, despite literally having his heart removed. Magneto willed his blood to keep like pumping through his body, using the iron in his blood to help control and move it through him, with his mutant powers going into overdrive to act as a temporary replacement for his heart during the AXE or the Axe event when he was essentially trapped on planet Araco, aka Mars, as he also fought to defend it. And even during his rematch with Uranos, he really only went out because he chose to go. Sounds pretty unstoppable to me, I'm just saying. Number 2. Storm. Storm is one of the best, more badass characters that we have around. She is unstoppable on, honestly, a lot of different fronts. Not just because of her mutant powers to control the weather and manipulate the atmosphere around her, sometimes even the world over. Not just because of her insane fighting skills and physical prowess, and not even just because Storm is a goddess. And honestly, not even just because Storm is also an amazing leader, she's also that too. A lot of the time for me, it's Storm's spirit and her determination that just makes her the most unstoppable. She does not give up, even when it seems like defeat is basically inevitable. Storm makes her own path and does not let others define her, and that is both what I admire the most about her and what I think makes her often such a force to be reckoned with. Willful, strong, and undefeatable. Storm knows who she is and she isn't afraid to show it, and I love that about her. That's being unstoppable right there. Knowing who you are and being like, this is who I am, that's it. Take it or leave it. But you gotta take it because I'm unstoppable. Number 1. Apocalypse. Apocalypse is definitely one of the most unstoppable mutants around. He is one of, if not the, most deadly mutant that we have, I would say. There's a whole alternate reality where Apocalypse has successfully conquered the world, and there have been a few times where he's also come close to doing that in the main continuity. That's why I personally was both so amazed and so surprised, kinda scared, when I saw Apocalypse join the mutant nation of Krakoa. Initially my thoughts were, when is he gonna betray them, because that's gonna happen. But over time I came to understand that Apocalypse being so unstoppable didn't always have to be a bad thing, as he is also allied literally with all the mutants. He could actually be a force for good in that way, because if there's anything that Apocalypse does believe in, he believes in mutants, and so it kind of worked really perfectly that he'd work with them. Ultimately though, Apocalypse wants mutants to be at their best and to be on top. So as soon as there is a disparity between what he wants for mutant kind and what the people and other leaders of Krakoa want, he's probably gonna go back to being unstoppable in a more villainous way.
Number 10. Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy, also known as Pamela Isley, wields a formidable and unique level of power that sets her apart as one of Batman's most powerful villains. Gifted with a deep connection to plant life, Ivy's powers encompass both botanical manipulation and a heightened affinity for nature. She can communicate with plants, control their growth, and command them to bend to her will, utilizing them as powerful weapons or protective barriers, and she can do this on a global scale. Her toxic touch, stemming from her ability to secrete potent pheromones, makes her a dangerous foe in close combat, assuming combatants can even get that close. Her expertise in biochemistry allows her to concoct various deadly toxins and antidotes, making her a master of botanical chemistry, and she can pretty much heal herself at will. What truly makes Poison Ivy fearsome is her ability to bend the very ecosystems to her command, unleashing nature's wrath upon her enemies. Now this isn't as impressive as her other feats of power, but she she is also quite good at seducing her enemies, bending them to her will, which she has even done to the Man of Steel. Usually this is done with toxins, but sometimes just through straight up charm. With her compelling blend of power, allure, and eco-conscious motivations, Poison Ivy has been an incredibly popular villain who few can really stand against. Number 9. Larfleeze. Larfleeze, or Agent Orange, is one unique character in the emotional spectrum, and that's because he's the sole wielder of the Orange Light of Avarice. He is the only member of the Orange Lantern Corps. Larfleeze is driven by an insatiable greed that grants him dominion over all that he desires, driving him into conflict with whoever possesses what it is that he does desire, and over the power of the Orange Lanterns, which represent greed. His power is centered on his ability to conjure constructs using the stolen identities and forms of those he has absorbed into his horde, making him basically an army unto himself. This ability extends even to abstract concepts and beings, showcasing the extent of his control. The big thing about Larfleeze is that since he spent so much time with his Orange Lantern and ring, he has basically become the living Orange Lantern himself. This energy grants him huge levels of power. His constructs are virtually indestructible and can overwhelm even the most powerful opponents. However, Larfleeze's power comes at the cost of his individuality, as his insatiable greed makes him less of a person and more of a living embodiment of greed itself. Even without the power of the Orange Lantern, his race is already basically immortal, with Larfleeze himself being billions of years old, and with enough power that I seriously doubt he will be going down anytime soon. Number 8. Time Trapper. The Time Trapper is often associated with the Legion of Superheroes, and he operates as a master manipulator of time. If you know comics and time travel, then you know that this gives the Time Trapper control over the fabric of reality itself. Possessing the power to alter and manipulate the past, present, and future, the Trapper can rewrite history on an unprecedented scale. He was able to age anyone he chose to the point of bones or ashes if he wanted to. He was capable of creating an iron curtain of time, which was a barrier which prevented time travel. The Time Trapper was also able to create a temporal force barrier which he used to seal a time-traveling Superman off from the 20th century. He was able to take a slice of time from the post-crisis DCU 1 million years in the past and craft its Earth and Krypton into reality similar to the recently destroyed Earth 1 universe, forming a pocket universe. He made a pocket universe. That's nuts. These are godly feats of time manipulation and control. Often depicted as a shadowy, hooded figure, the character's level of power is so vast that even immensely powerful cosmic entities such as the Timeless Ones tread cautiously in his presence. On top of that though, he possesses power with size alteration, intangibility, flight, telepathy, telekinesis, alongside symbolizing the very essence of temporal manipulation and unpredictability in the DC universe. Number 7. General Zod. Hailing from the planet Krypton, General Zod possesses the same superhuman abilities as Superman due to their shared origin. These abilities include super strength, speed, invulnerability, heat vision, and flight, making him a physical match for the Man of Steel. What set Zod apart though is that he was originally the leader of the military defense for the Kryptonian Science Council. He betrayed the Science Council after learning that they were lying to him about the inevitable destruction of the planet Krypton, and was banished to the Phantom Zone by Superman's father, Jor-El, who he swore vengeance against for not siding with him. His formidable combat experience and tactical genius acquired during his time as a military leader on Krypton make him a fearsome adversary in battle. Zod's obsession with Kryptonian superiority and his unrelenting desire to establish dominance often drive him to harness his power to their fullest extent, doing things that would make Superman faint. Throughout his appearances in DC Comics, General Zod's determination, belief in his cause, and great power, coupled with the fact that he pretty much always comes back somehow, make him pretty hard to put down for good, unless you're Henry Cavill. Number 6. Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage was alive 50,000 years ago as a chief of a tribe of other cavemen, but when he came into contact with a strange meteorite, it exploded and bathed him in this strange alien radiation that gave him immunity to aging, disease, and fatigue, meaning he is effectively immortal. The meteorite also increased his intelligence to superhuman levels, which combined with 50,000 years of learning, experiencing, and living alongside every single technological technological innovation in the history of man, Vandal Savage possesses skills in almost all areas of the human experience, even basically becoming immune to pain. Specifically though, he focuses on the tactical skills that would help him become a world conqueror. His schemes range from being a conqueror to a criminal mastermind, leveraging his intellect and immortality to reshape civilizations and wield substantial influence. His power is further magnified by his ability to learn and adapt from each encounter, making him an almost insurmountable adversary for even the most powerful heroes. With his immortality, intelligence, and complex motivations, Vandal Savage is one villain that seems to just keep on popping up.
At number 5 is Iron Man. Now when it comes to the Avengers, we're talking about a roster filled with some seriously impressive individuals, but among them, there's one iconic figure who stands out: Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. So what makes Iron Man so special? Well, for starters, it's that suit of his. The Mark 20 million, or whatever snazzy number he's up to by now, is a true marvel of engineering. We're talking about a suit that's equipped with all sorts of advanced tech, from repulsor beams that can blast through just about anything, to an array of specialized gadgets that could give James Bond a run for his money. And let's not forget about his nanotech, allowing the suit to form around him at a moment's notice. But it's not just about the suit, it's also about the man inside it, Tony Stark, a brilliant inventor, billionaire, and philanthropist. Now what sets Tony apart isn't just his genius intellect or his snarky one-liners, it's his indomitable spirit. The guy's faced some serious challenges both in and out of the suit, from dealing with his own personal demons to going toe-to-toe with cosmic threats. He's shown time and time again that he's not one to back down. At number 4 is Thor. When the talk shifts to Avengers level threats, one question naturally arises: can Thor single-handedly vanquish any challenge that befalls Earth? Well, let's find out. Marvel's tapestry of storylines weaves together captivating narratives, and sometimes even Thor needs a breather from Midgard's constant mayhem. Take the Civil War saga for instance. While the epic clash between heroes raged on Earth, Thor was knee-deep in his own Asgardian apocalypse, Ragnarok, making his conspicuous absence a necessity to let the drama unfold. Thor's lineage also reads like a divine who's who, with Odin and Gaia as his progenitors. And let's not forget the boost his dear mother Gaia gave him, elevating his Asgardian powers into uncharted territories. We're talking about the god of strength and thunder here, being capable of locking horns or hammers with cosmic juggernauts. The roster of opponents who felt the force of Mjolnir's might is as extensive as it is impressive. Midgard's Serpent, the Hulk, the Silver Surfer, Gladiator, and even the legendary Hercules have all danced the battle and waltzed with Thor. His endurance seems bottomless, a wellspring of stamina that keeps him going even when the odds stay high and nigh. But even stripped of Mjolnir, when he's just Thor Odin's son, the guy's like a one-man storm. Recent chapters in his comic chronicle have seen him ascend further: Rune King Thor, All-Father Thor, and even donning the mantle of Cosmic Herald for Galactus. It's almost as if Thor keeps snacking power-ups from the cosmic clearance rack. At number 3 is Captain America. Let's talk about a hero who isn't necessarily firing energy beams from their fingertips or manipulating reality itself. It's none other than Captain America. But before we start sizing up his biceps against the lights of cosmic gods and reality-bending mutants, hear me out. Sure, when you think of the Avengers, you might picture Thor summoning thunderstorms or Iron Man donning his high-tech suits, but let's not underestimate the man who wields the vibranium shield with finesse and determination. Captain America, aka Steve Rogers, isn't on top of the power charts, but it's not about the flashy superpowers that make him shine. It's about his unyielding willpower. You see, Steve is the kind of guy who doesn't know the meaning of backing down. He's like the poster child for unwavering resolve, the guy who will take on cosmic threats armed with nothing more than his conviction. See, it's not about the size of the hammer, but the strength behind the swing. And Steve's swing is fueled by his deep belief in what he fights for. At number 2 is Spider-Man. Just like Captain America, Spider-Man wields a power that transcends comic book pages. It's like the literal god tier of popularity. I mean, seriously, Spider-Man is practically the poster child of Marvel Comics. Now sure, he's been knocked down a few times, but the likelihood of him being permanently knocked down and out, about as low as finding someone who doesn't enjoy pizza. At number 1 is the Hulk. It's almost a requirement that the Hulk makes an appearance on this list. The gamma-powered green Goliath has been a force to be reckoned with ever since his debut. Known for his strength, not just your average weightlifting prowess, this guy's strength is set in stone, tied to his anger, which is a bit concerning when you think about it. Hulk's power grows alongside his fury, and it's like he's got an anger management issue with cosmic consequences. He's gone from smashing puny humans to planets, galaxies, and even giving the multiverse a good old shake with his punches.
In at 10, Thanos. While usually portrayed as an evil, bent villain, many stories have depicted Thanos as having just a twisted moral compass and thinking that he's justified in whatever he's doing. The character's perhaps best known role came in the 1991 storyline of the Infinity Gauntlet, which was the culmination of several previous story arcs, like in the MCU, just in the comics, because you know they came first, which saw him successfully assembling the 6 Infinity Gems into a single gauntlet and then using them to kill half the universe's population, including many of its heroes in an effort to earn the affection of Mistress Death, the living embodiment of death in the Marvel Universe. Yeah, that's right. Thanos wiped out half the universe in the comics to bone Death. Although these events were later undone, it still just proves that never underestimate the power of horny.
Number 9. Uranos. Uranos is one of the coolest new villains we've gotten over at Marvel Comics. Sure, he isn't new in the sense of him being someone who just came out this year. He resurfaced back in 2021, rising to prominence in Kieran Gillen and Asad Rabish's Eternals comic book series, which was honestly short-lived. It was so good. But Uranos actually first appeared in a much smaller capacity back in the B story of a What If issue. What If issue number 24 from 1980 is considered his first appearance, despite it being a what if issue. He is obsessed often with destroying and eradicating all life, believing in contrast to most Eternals that the Celestials would be best served by the Eternals if both the humans and the deviants of Earth were destroyed.
And at 8, Galactus. Galactus is the sole survivor of the 6th incarnation of the multiverse. Originally, Galactus was a humanoid named Galen, born to the previous incarnation of Earth 616 on the planet of Ta, a paradise-like world whose civilization is said to have been the most advanced of any known universe at the time. However, the 6th Infinity and all its universes were in their final stages of collapse due to the multiversal renewal cycle, being consumed by the abstract entity known as the Black Winter. When the cosmos was going to meet its natural end, Galen was then approached by the embodiment of the 6th Infinity, the sentience of the multiverse. Basically, he was approached by Kevin Feige, who merged its essence with the mortal of Galen and creating the new multiverse, but also creating Galactus, the devourer of worlds. Yeah, I mean, the dude survived the universe, the multiverse resetting, so if that's not gonna stop him, I don't know, maybe Squirrel Girl will, by talking him down. Can't believe that that's a thing, maybe he shouldn't be on this list. But anyways, he possesses immeasurable power, like the power cosmic, and is just one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel Universe, having near limitless godlike power, and being considered an omnipotent entity. Dude's just mega OP if he hasn't eaten enough worlds, kinda like me.
Number 7. Hela. Hela is literally the goddess of death. How are you gonna stop that? She might not be the only one, but hey, that doesn't really matter. Either way, she has a sway over life, and that oftentimes cannot be beat. Even when Hela herself seemingly was destroyed, she actually returned, and for a while she was also teaming up with Thanos, which is an insane power couple that I don't think the world was ready for. I would still be interested to see what could happen with these two if they were truly both at the top of their game while being fully united on the villainy front.
In at 6, Mephisto. Yes, Mephisto is actually in this list. Your theories were right this time. Mephisto, an extra-dimensional demon, presides over a fiery pocket dimension he refers to as Hell, or Hades. However, it differs from the actual Christian concept of Hell, which is governed by Pluto in Greek mythology. Like Hades is governed by Pluto in Greek mythology. It's a separate thing, okay? Mephisto strategically labels his realm as Hell to capitalize on the belief of, you know, God, the devil, all of that stuff. So he's creating himself in the illusion of just absolute evil, which is, yeah, it's a good marketing strat. It's like the Blair Witch of demon marketing. His appearance typically resembles just a traditional demon, but it remains uncertain whether it's actually what he looks like or if this is just something that he throws on when he's going to the ball because, you know, he's like, oh yeah, I'm the devil, so I'm gonna look like a devil. He also accepts names that are just contributed to being devils, you know, like Mephisto is derived from Mephistopheles in the Faust legends and stuff like that. Just basically anything you want to call the devil or any name you have for the devil, he accepts. He's chill like that. But the freaking devil? Yeah, if history has taught us anything, you can't really stop the devil. The devil stops you. Halfway through, and at number 5, the Atom. Ray Palmer is the Atom, the mighty might, a superhero with the ability to shrink to incredible sizes while retaining his full mass, making him insanely nuts. Ray Palmer is a hardworking, dedicated man, and in fact, dedicated is hardly a word for it. Driven is a little closer to the truth. Once Ray starts working on a problem or a puzzle, there is absolutely no stopping him. Aside from his crime-fighting career, he is also one of the world's top scientific minds, given his background as a physicist, and yeah, it's freaking nuts. He's capable of shrinking to subatomic sizes and explores the universe on a frontier unknown to any other man. He also created the Atom suit that allows him to do this, having it be tech instead of a superpower as well. So yeah, it's kind of putting him on the level of like Hank Pym and Tony Stark from the Marvel universe, which are some of the smartest characters in Marvel. But the dude can turn small, have a punch that's like a bullet, like Ant-Man, but can also fly while small, instead of being stuck on the ground. So yeah, I think it's fairly safe to say that Ray holds a powerful spot in the DC universe. Or at least he's up there, okay? And for Wonder Woman, the Dark Knight's death metal story wrapped up early 2021 with issue number 7, and in that issue, and the issue before, we see Wonder Woman at her most powerful yet. In a godlike form that's even more powerful than a god, as the Cosmic puts it, she has been a god before, but at this moment she's more. At this point, she's ascended past godhood and can see all of time and all realities. Yeah, she sees every Earth timeline and every Earth, and she faces off against the Batman, who laughs in his most powerful form. The fight is so intense that they hit each other through time itself. Diana here is charged with anti-crisis energy, a concussive force that links all of history and all lives as one story. Then she moves on to become one of the hands that creates the multiverse going forward, with no walls and greater possibilities. She aids in creating the future state story that we see in the issues following, and that is seemingly the centerpiece of DC 2021 and the new world, I guess you could say. So yeah, Wonder Woman becoming a god and remaking the universe seems pretty unstoppable to me, considering how no one stopped her. And at 3, Aquaman. Oh, look at that, I managed to reference Flashpoint twice on this number. Hell yeah, or this list. Hell yeah. In the animated Flashpoint Paradox movie and the comics, the world is much different to what it originally was. Mostly due to the war between Aquaman and Wonder Woman, who end up being the villains of the movie, and it's a lot. Thanks to them being former lovers, while Aquaman was married to Mira, who Wonder Woman then killed when Mira tried to get her revenge. Yeah, but considering how it's Amber Heard, I kinda get it. But to be fair, she also wears Mira's crown running around, so it's not like she's really saying, oh, it was self-defense. She's just like taunting him. However, this war resulted in the destruction of the planet, at the literal moment that Barry was able to get enough speed to go back into the Speed Force, okay? It's a suspenseful moment where Reverse Flash has just been killed by Batman so that Barry would have enough speed to run back and stop himself from saving his mother. But yeah, he managed to get into the Speed Force before the world's destruction caught up with him, but the world was still destroyed. So you know what, that's good enough for me. Okay, this version of Aquaman was only stopped when the world ended. So yeah, yikes. We thought he was only good in the water. But ultimately, in at number 2, the Spectre. Spectre is the embodiment of divine vengeance and serves as a member of the enforcers of God's will. When someone is nearing death, Spectre utilizes them as a vessel to carry out the universe's purpose. In an attempt to save John Constantine, who had caused a major disruption by altering the timeline, Spectre intervened. He guided and protected Barry Allen through the Speed Force, shielding him and the new universe from Darkseid's pursuit. However, this upset the cosmic balance, and the universe sought to punish Constantine for his actions. Despite recognizing Constantine's past deeds and offering him a seemingly idyllic eternity with his loved ones in the House of Mystery, Constantine's self-loathing transformed the experience into a nightmarish existence. When Constantine confronted Spectre and explained the circumstances, the Spectre realized his inability to offer further assistance. But still, the Spectre has the powers of a god. He's literally just the form of God's wrath, as just a thing that can move from undead body to body. Yeah, that's gonna be unstoppable. It's freaking God's wrath as a manifestation. Damn. And finally, in at number 1, Dr. Manhattan. Technically it counts. Technically he's in the DC universe. Dr. Manhattan is considered the most powerful superhero in comics because he possesses ultimate powers. He debuted in the graphic novel limited series Watchmen, published in 1986 and 1987, and Manhattan later on became a major player in the DC universe. He was revealed to be responsible for the Flashpoint event and creating the New 52 timeline in the process, something that removed 10 years of history of the DC characters, and he did it on his own. So how could we not include Dr. Manhattan on the list when just Jesus Christ. The dystopia in The Watchmen is caused by superheroes who thought that they could save the world but ended up leaving it hollow and broken, but Dr. Manhattan created Flashpoint on his own. So if we were saying that Barry is unstoppable because he was able to change reality, and that Aquaman was unstoppable because he was able to destroy reality and only got saved when Flash rewrote it, yeah, I think that Manhattan's gonna take the top spot. If you don't agree and you think it should be Batman, then yell at me in the comments. Alright, that's fine, I've accepted it. And at 10, Superman. The catalyst of the Batman vs Superman story, Superman's power is hardly properly showcased, but this perfect story that shows it and its danger is Injustice. Okay, in the world of Injustice, Superman is driven to extremes by the death of Lois Lane at the hands of the Joker, which is a whole thing. Superman was convinced that he was fighting Doomsday, even though Doomsday was Lois, so yeah, I'm sure you see where that leads, which leads him to believe that he has to take a more aggressive approach to maintaining law and order in the world. As a result of this, Superman becomes a ruthless dictator, using his immense powers to control and subjugate the entire world and killing anyone who opposes him. He's willing to use violence and force to achieve his goals, and quickly becomes a symbol of fear and oppression rather than hope and justice. One of the most interesting aspects of the Injustice version is like the way that Superman's portrayed as a tragic figure, because like while his actions may be extreme and villainous, he's motivated by a sense of loss and doesn't want it to happen to anyone else. But this doesn't justify it, and it just shows you how strong he actually is if he wanted to be evil. It also makes him butt heads with the original version of Superman that they have to bring over from his Earth to help them beat their version. So yeah, the only way that this Superman could be stopped is with another Superman. And at 9, The Flash. Okay, literally though, this is a feeling I've seen every Flash fan express at one point or another in their fandom live. That this dude is so fast, nothing should be able to stop him, and honestly, that's a valid argument. I mean, not only is he super fast, but he also is super fast because of the Speed Force, which is a separate, basically godlike entity that chose him to give speed to. This guy's been able to run on water, run up air like it's a damn staircase, beat instantaneous teleportation, and sacrifice himself to save the multiverse and still come back from that. All because of his connection to the Speed Force. He can travel through time, change the entirety of reality like he did with Flashpoint, and honestly, probably destroy the world if left unchecked. So yeah, the fact that some of these dudes have been shot in the head, like Reverse Flash during Flashpoint, or in the comic version he's just stabbed by Batman, is definitely just because of the plot. Otherwise, the Flash and other speedsters would just be unstoppable. And at 8, Batman. I think we all knew Batman was going to be on this list, but I'm guessing most of you figured that he'd be number 1. And while I can't deny that Batman is bad, I can honestly say that I don't think he's overpowered, but he's still unstoppable. It doesn't matter if he's rich, okay? There should be no possible way that he can get whatever he needs, whenever he needs it. But like, the best ability that Batman has is his plot armor, okay? It's not his money, it's not his martial arts mastery, it's not his gadgets. He can get whatever the story needs, or whatever he needs, so he just doesn't die, just because killing him off would be a horrible idea, okay? It's like, oh, it's Superman, but there's only 1 ounce of kryptonite left in this world. Oh, don't worry, Batman can get it because he's rich. I don't like that. Okay, my friend was obsessed over Batman, and I think he's overrated, and I can hear the sounds of pitchforks and torches being lighted, like, in the comments. You're also lighting your pitchforks, but like, come on, okay, come at me. Batman isn't all that, and that's why he's at number 8. He's also at number 8 because of his plot armor. That's his ultimate power and why he's unstoppable, but still. And at 7, Martian Manhunter. The Martian Manhunter possesses highly advanced reasoning and logic capabilities, and uses them to great effect. Despero once claimed that Ted Kore's mind, his IQ of 192, was only second to that of John Jones. The Martian Manhunter's particularly astute reasoning capabilities and long-term association with Earth's global population gives him an edge in dealing with humans of diverse governments, cultures, and religions. And as a result, in the northern hemisphere of Earth, the Manhunter is one of many costumed adventurers battling against entropy. Yet in the southern hemisphere, he's more well known than even Superman. In addition to this, the Martian Manhunter is the most powerful telepath on the planet, and is one of the strongest telepathic telepathic beings in the universe, which some also consider to be due to his intellect, or something that adds to his intellect, since he can control the minds of others. He's able to read the mind of any human with no difficulties, and the only minds that can cause him trouble are insane minds. He can even read the subconscious mind as well. He's able to read minds over great distances and has been known to scan the mind of every human on Earth within a matter of moments. Okay, I just wish he was a therapist so that he could tell me what my subconscious wants instead of me trying to figure it out on my own, because clearly that's not working. Oh wait, no, he can't read insane minds. And at 6, Green Lantern. I've been talking about this particular run a lot recently, but Emerald Twilight from back in 1994 showcases just how unstoppable Hal Jordan can be if he wants to. The story begins with Hal holding a doll in the middle of what was once Coast City. Yeah, it exploded, or was at least destroyed. Grief-stricken, he recreates the entire city using his power ring, including its deceased inhabitants, as well as his father, which violated the Green Lantern Corps code, which forbids lanterns from using their powers for personal gain. He's then contacted by a Guardian of the Universe who reminds him of that and reprimands him for it, but Hal drains the holographic projection's energy and travels to O to use the central power battery to permanently reconstruct Coast City. The Guardians send other Green Lanterns to stop him, but Hal's determined to achieve his goal and unleashes destruction on anyone who's getting in his way. He absolutely tears through the Green Lantern Corps. As Hal's rampage continues, the consequences of his actions ripple throughout the cosmos, and Green Lanterns are vanishing and their rings are inexplicably disappearing. Even Guy Gardner, who's wearing Sinestro's yellow ring, witnesses the devastation caused by Hal's actions. Alright, this dude just wanted to rebuild a city and ends up decimating the Green Lantern Corps for it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with he's pretty unstoppable.
Number 5. Parallax. This cosmic entity is a cosmic entity, so it kinda defeats what I just said in the intro, but he's the living embodiment of fear and has created several problems for different heroes over the years, and still he's somehow kind of small and relegated to like this corner of DC. Originally imprisoned by the Guardians of the Universe in their central power battery, his presence would eventually lead to the corruption of a couple of the Green Lantern Corps' power rings, creating the Yellow Lanterns. Parallax is immortal and exists as pure energy, unable to be destroyed and more than capable of manipulating matter and energy on a cosmic scale. He's able to generate such intense fear in a person that he can actually control them, having done this to several heroes without much effort over the years, the likes of which include Superman and even Wonder Woman. His biggest feat would have to be the corruption of Hal Jordan though, causing the guy to do some pretty unspeakable things like wiping out the entire Green Lantern Corps. Funnily enough, that wasn't the original reason, but DC just retconned it to that so Hal could seem a little bit more redeemable after he just did that. Well, there you go. Number 4. Reverse Flash. Eobard Thawne is what happens when you take the Flash and make him utterly insane. Possessing a deep obsession with the Flash, Thawne's connection to the negative speed force grants him superhuman speed and reflexes that meet those of the Scarlet Speedster himself, and sometimes go a little bit past that. This negative speed force grants him a kind of power over time manipulation and enabling him to travel through time at will. This mastery of temporal mechanics allows him to alter history, create alternate timelines, and manipulate events to his advantage. His ability to affect the past and future makes him a uniquely terrifying opponent, as he can unravel the very fabric of reality itself. Then, as a villain of Flash, Eobard's intimate knowledge of the Flash's life and history enables him to anticipate his every single move, making it extremely challenging for the Flash to outsmart him, and Eobard has revealed that he has manipulated Barry's life to be the way that it is, which is kind of just a huge old time loop that probably unravels if you try to think about it too much, but just don't do that, so there you go. This combination of incredible speed, time manipulation, and strategic intellect makes Reverse Flash an arch nemesis who constantly pushes the Flash to his limits, solidifying his reputation as truly powerful, incredibly unpredictable, and very hard to stop. Number 3. Starro. If you have seen the newest Suicide Squad movie, the one with Idris Elba and John Cena, then you know who Starro is. He's that massive, terrifying starfish alien conqueror that was releasing millions of tiny starfish that turn people into unwilling servants. Starro is actually one of the Justice League's earliest villains, and he poses a massive threat as he can use his reproduced drones to take control of an entire population, and he has subdued members of the Justice League multiple times times, just like how it was done in that film. Originally, he could even turn actual starfish into deputies of his, making multiple Starros. Other than the mind control, drones, copies, its immense resilience, and energy absorption, Starro is also incredibly capable with regenerating, being able to grow back fully from just a fragment of his own body. There are some versions of Starro who are the size of an ocean, and they are totally capable of terraforming entire planets. Yes, he's basically a starfish, but imagining an absolutely massive ocean-sized starfish attacking our planet with drones that can turn people into unwilling servants with almost no way to stop it? That's pretty terrifying. Number 2. Eclipso. When Eclipso made his comic book debut in 1963, he was nothing more than the evil side of archaeologist Bruce Gordon that came out during the eclipse. Pretty simple. But then we fast forward to DC's 1992 Eclipso: The Darkness Within, and out of kind of nowhere, Eclipso is revealed to be a powerful cosmic entity representing the wrath of God that turned evil and was cast from heaven, replaced by the Spectre. Now, he is an entity who is trapped in a gigantic black diamond that was cut into smaller diamonds, one of which was found by Bruce Wayne years and years ago. In an event called Darkness Within, these fragments of the black diamond were activated on various powerful beings, allowing Eclipso to possess them, and one of these beings happened to be Superman himself, and the world's heroes had to fight tooth and nail to try and stop this powerful possessed Superman. It was the wizard Shazam and Billy Batson, Captain Marvel, who finally stopped him, and with the help of the Spectre, Eclipso was forced back into the reformed diamond, but he's not gone. He's still around. He's just chilling in the diamond somewhere. Number 1. Solaris. Introduced in the storyline DC 1 Million, Solaris stands as a sentient, malevolent, artificial sun from the 20th century, but he survived till and had a bigger part to play in the distant 853rd century. That's a lot of centuries. What sets Solaris apart from other villains is its status as a living star, a conscious being born from the fusion of advanced technology and the essence of a dying sun. Possessing vast cosmic power, Solaris is a relentless foe who manipulates radiation, gravity, and he's a sun. He's hella powerful, manipulating immense energy to reshape its surroundings and project formidable attacks. Its motivation lies in a deep-seated desire to spread its influence and attain ultimate dominance in the universe, but also in the fact that he was defeated by the second Superman and has vowed vengeance against all Supermen who pop up after that. Solaris possesses a unique threat that transcends traditional physical battles, becoming the concept of a living sun with malevolent intent adds an enthralling layer of cosmic mystery and existential danger, and I don't want to think about that.
At number 10 is Scarlet Witch, who's at number 10 not because she's less unstoppable than any of the rest of the heroes on this list, but because it's so blatantly obvious. A natural conduit of dark magic with the power to bend reality to her will. That's Scarlet Witch in a nutshell. She can rearrange the fabric of existence itself, crafting and shaping the world around her like a master sculptor. And if you're thinking that sounds like a recipe for some serious chaos, well, you're not wrong. With her chaos magic, Wanda can do things that can make mere mortals like us question the very nature of reality. She's brought the Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, down to their knees. She's conjured entire beings into existence, her children, and yes, she's even wiped out a few Avengers entirely. Talking about cleaning up the House of M. The nerds will get it. But it doesn't stop there. This chaos magic isn't just something that she picked up in a weekend workshop. No, she was practically born for it. From day one, Wanda had this uncanny knack for magic. Then a little boost from Chthon, the old god of chaos, took her powers to a whole new level. And just when you thought that wasn't enough, the experiments at Wundagore Mountain cranked up her magical prowess even further. Think of it like a magical power-up montage. But it's not just about raw power, it's also about the connections she can tap into. Scarlet Witch can channel energy from dimensions and entities that are beyond our understanding. Chthon, Kitterak, Morrigan, I got those wrong, probably. These aren't just your friendly neighborhood spirits. And get this, she's even considered the nexus of being for the entire universe. That's like being the fulcrum that balances the cosmic seesaw. Now, sure, Marvel's universe is no stranger to magic users, with Sorcerers Supreme and mystical maestros galore, but what sets Scarlet Witch apart is the scope of her chaos magic. She's a reality warping dynamo, a serious force to be reckoned with, and a one-woman show of astonishing feats. If you're enjoying the video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. It would help out a bunch. At number 9 is Sentry, who's another obvious pick but isn't as well known as some of the other big players on this leaderboard. A hero with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, a force that transcends the bounds of mere mortals. Robert Reynolds, the Sentry, stands as a unique marvel, and in my humble opinion, even outshines the famed Superman. You see, the Golden Sentry serum doesn't just bestow upon him the universe's zenith of strength. No, it granted him a constellation of abilities that read like the ultimate wish list. The Sentry surfs through the cosmos faster than light, an interstellar traveler with a teleportation knack that make the Nightcrawler blush. But that's not all, folks. Hold your applause, because his molecule manipulation prowess once toppled the mighty Molecule Man. Photokinesis, his dazzling control over light, isn't just about setting up stellar selfies. He can blaze brighter than the sun, dematerialize at will, and throw incandescent bolts that'll make Iron Man think twice. His psionic might lets him knit psyche together, tinker with memories, and just casually halt Mjolnir mid-air, no worthiness required. But there's more to that power buffet. Biokinesis, the art of reshaping biology itself. The Sentry has resuscitated himself from the brinks, stitched others' wounds with thought, and even, brace yourself, brought people back from the great beyond. At number 8 is Captain Marvel. Let's talk about an Avenger who's like a cosmic Energizer bunny on steroids. And I'm not just talking about the old red, white, and blue color scheme. Carol Danvers, known as Captain Marvel, or Carol if you're feeling friendly, is a force to be reckoned with. Picture this, she's minding her business at NASA, probably wearing some seriously cool lab goggles, when fate's like, hey, wanna be a walking energy power station? And the result is an instant energy fueled superhero package. Let's run down the list of powers, shall we? Super strength, check. I'm talking lifting an entire celestial, not your typical weightlifting session, mind you. Super stamina, like she could do a 24-hour dance marathon without breaking a sweat. And speaking of sweat, her superhuman durability makes planet-destroying explosions just a minor inconvenience. But wait, there's more. Superhuman agility, reflexes that are so fast, you'd think that she was playing a game of cosmic dodgeball. And let's not forget the healing factor that makes her practically Wolverine on steroids. Sorry, Logan. Carol's got you beat. But her crowning achievement is self-propelled flight at 3 times the speed of sound, even in the vacuum of space. I mean, I can barely keep up with my own thoughts, and she's zipping around the cosmos like she's late for a Cree tea party. And there's also a little thing called precognition. But yeah, she's also basically a cosmic fortune teller, but with a twist. She can randomly anticipate her opponent's moves, like she's playing a game of chess and reading their minds at the same time. So whether or not you're in the I Heart Carol Danvers fan club or not, you gotta hand it to her. She's the kind of superhero who'd make you wonder if the universe had an energy drink before creating her. At number 7 is Luke Cage, a man who transformed from a life of crime into the embodiment of invulnerability and strength. Luke's journey is one that showcases the epitome of transformation from criminal to protector, and even the mayor of the Big Apple. He's like a modern day Hercules, but without the whole mythologies thing. The secret sauce here is the bursting process, a super soldier experiment that's like the ultimate makeover, but for your cellular regeneration rate. This process gifted Luke with an ungodly amount of strength, akin to lifting 50 tons. This strength isn't just for show. Thunderclaps? Check. Leaping long distances? Check. Pulling an airplane's brakes like it's a kid's toy? Absolutely check. But the real kicker is his nigh invulnerability, having skin, muscles, and bone tissue tougher than titanium steel. He can also take hits from heavy hitters, surviving smacks from folks that make him look like an underdog. And let's not forget his favorite pastime, surviving falls from skyscrapers like it's just another walk in the park. At number 6 is Black Panther. First of all, let's talk about that suit. Made from vibranium, the strongest metal in the Marvel universe. It also absorbs kinetic energy, making it practically indestructible. But it's not just the suit that makes T'Challa unstoppable. He's got the agility of a panther, the strength of a vibranium enhanced human, and combat skills that could give even the most skilled martial artists a run for their money. And don't forget about the intellect. The guy's a genius, ruling over Wakanda, a technological wonderland hidden in plain sight. Vibranium powered tech, healing herbs, you name it, Black Panther's got it all. But it's more than just the gadgets, intellect, and cool moves. T'Challa's got heart, a dedication to his people, and a commitment to justice. He's not just a superhero, he's a king, a symbol, and a reminder that anyone can be a hero no matter the circumstance.
Number 5, Moondragon. Heather Douglas is actually one of the most powerful human-born telepaths in existence. She gained this power after she trained under the Shaolin monks of Titan, thanks to Thanos' father mentor taking her in. Her telepathic abilities rival and surpass even those of powerful mutants like Professor X. With this power, she was able to make an entire planet subservient to her. She has been in a psionic stalemate with the Sorcerer Supreme, and she's even straight up de-lifed a clone of Thanos who at the time had even greater mental powers than Professor X. Her powers are so powerful, in fact, that they can maintain themselves subconsciously, meaning that even if she is unconscious, she will maintain the effects of said powers. A huge part of her character, even the reason for her awesome Moondragon name, comes from the fact that she is or was actually under the influence of an extremely powerful entity known as the Dragon of the Moon, who has been manipulating her for a long time, even initially letting Heather believe she had overcome the demon. But thanks to this dragon, she has been able to take on a dragon form where she could move faster than light, survive in space, and was super strong and durable. Unfortunately, she isn't always a good guy.
Number 4, Nova. Nova is by far one of the most powerful superheroes we have in the cosmos, and yet a lot of people seem to forget about him. When it comes to which Nova we're talking about, I'm going to focus more on Richard Rider for this point, but honestly both he and Sam are pretty amazing. Richard, however, has more experience, so I think that makes him a more unstoppable force. Even when facing a nihilist, Nova could not be beaten. Nova is also one of the few to win in a fight against Thanos, getting some help from Star-Lord, who was wielding a partially charged cosmic cube, which also basically implied that Nova was as powerful himself as a partially charged cosmic cube, just all on his own. Physically, Nova didn't have to sacrifice himself in this fight, but just in terms of him basically being cut off from the rest of the cosmos for a while, he did have to do that, as he ended up being trapped in the Cancerverse alone, which honestly, surviving that is also a feat all its own.
Number 3, Legion. David Haller, the estranged son of Charles Xavier, is a very, very powerful mutant. He is also quite unique in the huge gallery of already unique Marvel mutants. David has hundreds and hundreds of mutant powers that each belong to a separate persona in his head. Each persona can be good or bad. For the purpose of our video though, there are several personas of David that come to mind. The first is straight up the Legion, which he describes as quote, real me, and has been called a god mutant by the mutant magic. The Legion is able to both warp reality to his will and manipulate time, which he did to create the Age of Apocalypse and eliminate the Elder Gods of Limbo. Then there is the Weaver, who is a big old brightly lit spider-like creature that has the ability to change, morph, and otherwise refabricate reality itself. But it's one of the only personas that he can neither coax into his service nor assimilate with. There is also X, or Moira, that takes the form of Moira Mctaggert and was able to best Professor X in psychic battle and warp reality, single-handedly creating the Age of X, where David would be seen as a hero, and placed herself as the mother of David. The personality Time Sync can manipulate the flow of time, pausing time, freezing people in time, and showing people memories of their own troubled past. And then there is my favorite, the Origamiist, a massive sumo wrestler who can bend and warp the fabric of space. He has been used only once so far, when Legion was in danger from an explosion, and he used the Origamist to fold the explosion away into a separate dimension and teleport away from the scene. And that is insane.
Adam, when you put Legion on this list and you picked Legion, I was like, who will I put above this person? Speaking of that, number 2, Wiccan. Wiccan is the son of Scarlet Witch. Well, the son of Scarlet Witch in spirit. If you've seen WandaVision, you likely know about Scarlet Witch's 2 twin sons. In the comics, they also exist, but like in the MCU, were only made possible because of Wanda's reality warping powers. As such, they end up being wiped away, with Wanda being made to forget that they ever existed. This is supposedly done for her own good and for everyone else's safety besides. In the comics, Scarlet Witch though later remembers her children, causing her to have a mental break, and then House of M happened. However, after all that was said and done, it was revealed that her children had returned via reincarnation. Wiccan is one of her 2 spiritual sons and has inherited his mom's magical skills and abilities. Like his mom, Wiccan uses magic to warp reality, and there are even some timelines where he ends up as the Sorcerer Supreme in the future.
And in at number 1 today is the Silver Surfer. Marvel Comics' Silver Surfer is an unstoppable cosmic force, wielding powers beyond comprehension. He is one of the most powerful beings in the universe, gifted with the power cosmic by the world-devouring Galactus. Surfer possesses a level of strength rivaled by very few that has allowed him to do things like crush diamonds and toss away dwarf stars. He has near invulnerability, and on the low chance that he does get hurt, he can heal it almost instantly. And the ability to manipulate cosmic energy at will, which grants him a whole list of other abilities and augmentations. His surfboard grants him the power of flight without expending his own energies, and allows him to travel faster than the speed of light, like he has traveled light years in a second. As the Herald of Galactus, Silver Surfer has navigated the far reaches of the universe, facing unimaginable threats and challenges. His mastery over cosmic energy allows him to project devastating energy blasts and construct force fields capable of withstanding almost any attack. On top of that, His connection to the power cosmic grants him virtually limitless cosmic knowledge and awareness, and yet, despite his immense power, Silver Surfer grapples with his conscience and carries the burden of past deeds done in service to Galactus. This inner conflict adds depth to the character, making him a complex and relatable figure in the Marvel Universe. With his cosmic abilities, unwavering sense of justice, and a desire to atone for his past, Silver Surfer remains an indomitable force in the cosmic landscape, protecting the universe from unimaginable threats.
Number 10, Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler does not get enough love on our channel. I know at times I can be the one ragging on him, but at the end of the day, I really do love Kurt Wagner. I think he is a fascinating character and one of the most complex individuals that we actually have on the X-Men team. Even though his teleportation powers are not as impressive as some other mutant teleporters that we have, such as Magic or Manifold, Nightcrawler is still a character whose determination and faith tend to be his driving force, helping him to do the unimaginable at times. And there is no length to which he wouldn't go to help out his teammates, his friends, and his family, the X-Men. In fact, at one point, Nightcrawler even left heaven after his death and returned to life just to help them out. That's pretty wild. Can't stop that. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, why not let us know that you love us by clicking that subscribe button? Do it! And if you already did it, thank you. You're great. Number 9, Moira Mctaggert. You wouldn't have likely thought of Moira Mctaggert as an unstoppable mutant. Probably though because you wouldn't have even thought of her as being a mutant. But here we are, and here she is. She is a mutant. During the Krakoan era of the X-Men comics, it was revealed to us right near the beginning, during the Dawn of X period, that Moira this entire time was actually a mutant. What? And what's even more insane is she might have one of the most interesting and powerful abilities out there. Her power allows her to resurrect after her death, but not by coming back to life, but simply by living her life all over again, thereby resetting the continuity, manipulating the very fabric of reality and how we perceive it. Moira has lived multiple lives, always remembering the ones that came before. This gave her knowledge which allowed her to manipulate the course of history. Number 8, Wolverine. One of the most skilled and effective trackers we have over at Marvel Comics, and I would say probably one of my most favorite characters. If you try to run from him, there is likely nowhere safe for you to hide, at least not on planet Earth, and even possibly not in the cosmos either. Has Wolverine ever gone to track someone across the stars? Because that is a story I would love to read. Oh wait, there was something similar to that in the X-Men Infinity comic, where Wolverine was tracking lost mutants through space. Those are the little online ones that you can get on Marvel Unlimited that you scroll through, by the way, that are kind of like webtoons. Wolverine is not a man who often gives up, even when he wants to, and based on how tragic his life has been, there have been many moments where Wolverine has wanted to call it quits, but even then he keeps on going. Not even his own will to give up can stop him from soldiering on. Number 7, Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister isn't just one man, he can literally be an army of clones. What is more unstoppable than that? Well, not much, especially when you consider just how brilliant and deadly he and each of his clones can be, with their immense knowledge of mutant DNA and twisted approach to evolution. Mr. Sinister isn't just one of my favorite mutants because of his fabulous look, although that definitely only makes me love him more, to be honest. It's because he's always up to something, always scheming and planning and hiding in the shadows. And when Sinister schemes, it can be dangerous, like to the point that he can take over the whole world by manipulating and tailoring the timeline to his liking. That kind of dangerous. See Sins of Sinister for more on what I'm talking about there. Number 6, Exodus. We don't talk about Exodus enough. As you know, I'm a big fan of psionic powers outside of, I would say, super speed and teleportation. I think this might actually be like my favorite power set, and definitely is one of the power sets I consider to be the most powerful. Why do I love it so? Why do I consider it to be so powerful? Because it allows you to defeat someone without ever having to really lift a finger. In the physical world anyways. Exodus might not be as well known as some of the others on this list, but trust me when I say he is one of the most powerful telepaths and telekinetics out there. We have seen him prove himself in psionic battles against ancient eternal creatures that were in essence kind of like dragons. In fact, I believe he even literally fought a dragon as well at one point. Exodus not only has his mutant powers, which were at an insane level already when they first manifested, but he also had them enhanced by Apocalypse, making him even more powerful. In fact, he is considered to be one of the most powerful mutants in existence. If that doesn't make him unstoppable, I do not know what would.
Number 5, the Hulk. It's almost a requirement that the Hulk show up on this list. The gamma-powered Green Goliath has been around for a long time, and ever since he showed up, there are only a small handful of people who have ever been able to stop him without using some kind of magic or reality warping. His infinite strength has a lot to do with that. A strength that grows based on his anger and has never ever reached a cap, allowing him to destroy entire planets, be a threat to entire galaxies, and being able to shake the entire multiverse with his punches. It also has a lot to do with his basically limitless dynamic durability, which has allowed him to survive attacks from enchanted weapons, powerful blasts of energy, stronger than ground zero nuclear explosions, the Human Torch's Nova Blast, and he could stand up to forces that could crush adamantium and destroy entire planets. But now, thanks to Immortal Hulk, we know that the Hulk actually literally cannot die, coming back from the below place through green doors. Actually, in that story we even get to see an alternate future where the One Below All uses the Hulk to destroy literally everything in existence. And the Hulk is still showing more and more of his potential with the reveal of the Titan personality that was able to fire energy blasts and is utter nightmare fuel. Number 4, Deadpool. Yes, he's an anti-hero, and no, I don't really care. With powers originating from Wolverine's genetic mutation, only stronger, Wade Wilson, aka Deadpool, is a product of the Weapon X program, making him not only pretty difficult to take down, but also pretty difficult to defend against. But through his time, he's managed to become even more capable. At one point in the comics, Deadpool becomes infatuated with death. As in Mistress Death. This is the same death that the Mad Titan Thanos is in love with. Now, because of this little weird love triangle and Thanos being a big grumpy jealous boy, he decides to, quote, gift old Wade with immortality, preventing him from ever being able to fully be with death. In reality, he just vowed to return Deadpool to life no matter what it took if he ever managed to pass away. And coming from Thanos, that's pretty much the same as immortality. But even without that, Deadpool's healing factor renders him basically immortal, as he no longer ages, can live and control his body without his head attached, is highly resistant to foreign chemicals, immune to all diseases, telepathic attacks, and possessions. This guy is a master assassin and has the power of breaking the fourth wall, which in a way gives him almost godhood in comic books. Number 3, Ghost Rider. While the Ghost Rider is in control, Johnny Blaze only influences its decisions to an extent as he takes the, quote, back seat. Now, Doctor Strange has stated that Johnny Blaze is simply a mortal and acts as a built-in safety, limiting the power of the Ghost Rider or the Spirit of Vengeance. Doctor Strange also stated that when the Spirit of Vengeance takes possession of the Ghost Rider's powers are, for all intents and purposes, boundless and, quote, godlike. So not only is the Ghost Rider really cool, but he's quite a hardy fella. He's essentially impervious to almost all forms of normal damage, or the damage he has sustained, like having his head completely obliterated, didn't actually matter since he just instantly reformed and didn't even feel it. The Ghost Rider has tanked hits from the Hulk on multiple different occasions and was one of the main heroes called in when Hulk returned for his vengeance on the Illuminati in the World War Hulk story. Since his body becomes a flaming skeleton, most projectiles just kind of pass straight through him or bounce off of his incredibly strong bones. The only things that have been shown to actually hurt him are heaven-forged or blessed weapons. Also, because of the divine or demonic energies that empower him, he can basically feel no fatigue or pain of any kind. And if anything were to actually damage him, he can recover from his injuries pretty much instantly. But all that combined with his Hellfire, soul, and sin manipulation, demonic magic, a somewhat fallible penance stare, and other insane abilities after becoming the king of hell itself makes Ghost Rider someone who most villains and heroes fear even on their best days. Number 2, Scarlet Witch. As a natural conduit of one of the most powerful forms of dark magic, chaos magic, the Scarlet Witch, aka Wanda Maximoff, is one of the most terrifyingly powerful beings in Marvel Comics. Using her chaos magic, Wanda has the very powerful ability to alter reality, which she has used to create her own children, bring the Avengers to their knees, even completely ending a few of them, and even rewrite all of reality to make mutants the dominant species for a while while before wiping a ton of them out. When she was born, Wanda had a natural affinity for magic. This was boosted up by the gift, or curse I guess, of chaos magic given to her by the elder god Chthon. And this was then boosted up again by the experiments of the High Evolutionary at Wundagore Mountain, which gave her an even deeper connection to magic. She can channel energy from other dimensions and from entities like Chthon, Sidorak, and Morrigan, and is considered to be the nexus being of the universe. Most magic users could make this list, but few of them can do what the Scarlet Witch can do. Number 1. Jean Grey. There's a reason that Jean Grey was chosen as the favorite host of one of the most powerful cosmic entities in the entire Marvel multiverse. As an Omega level mutant with not only telepathy but telekinesis as well, Jean Grey is one of the most powerful mutants alive. She is the most notable, powerful, and skilled telepath in the entire Marvel universe with seemingly limitless potential. Her telekinesis allows her to manipulate matter and energy, creating impenetrable force fields and moving objects with her thoughts. This combination of telepathy and telekinesis grants her incredible versatility in combat and problem solving. Jean's unparalleled strength lies not only in her powers but also in her fierce determination and unwavering sense of justice. Her ability to tap into her full potential, stay level-headed under pressure, and make split-second decisions makes her virtually unstoppable. But then, she actually is unstoppable, proven by the fact that even without the Phoenix Force, she has been able to bring herself back to life through her abilities and her sheer force of will. Despite facing countless adversaries and moral dilemmas, Jean Grey's indomitable spirit and strength of character have solidified her position as one of the most powerful and iconic figures in not only the X-Men mythology, but in Marvel Comics in general.